the Northwest Province. Let me just read the statement from the National Working Committee of the ANC. The ANC National Working Committee met in a special session on Wednesday, 20th of June 2018, as per the directive of the Special NEC, held on the 18th of June to conclude on the nomination of Premier-elect for the Northwest Province following the resignation of former Premier Supra Mahumapelo last month. You remember very well that the decision to appoint a Premier, it's a conference resolution, the 52nd conference resolution, which says the province must give us 3 names, and the NEC will then decide on the 3 names, and those 3 names must be in the order of preference. Now, the special NEC mandated the NWC to finalize that decision. So the special NWC unanimously resolved on the nomination of Comrade Professor Job Mokgoro as Premier-elect for the Northwest Province. And Professor Job Mokgoro is here with us. Professor Mokgoro is a tried and tested activist and administrator fit enough to deal with the challenges at hand, including creating stability within the provincial administration and effecting the much-needed delivery of basic services. And I'm sure we have agreed that it will be good for the Alliance and the ANC, everybody and society to support him, because no individual can work as an individual. We need teamwork, we need societal support, and we need the ANC and the Alliance to support him. Professor Mokgoro is currently responsible for the School of Governance in the Northwest Provincial Administration with an outstanding history of service in South Africa. And Professor Mokgoro holds a number of administrative and academic accolades, including a master's and honorary doctorate in public administration from the University of Telode in the United States. And in April 1994, Professor Mokgoro became the first Director General of the Northwest Administration, tasked with rationalizing and integrating 3 government administrations into one Northwest Province. And if you remember well, I think Professor Mokgoro was the Deputy Chair of the then Northern Cape Province of the ANC in the early 90s. From the end, in April 94, became the Director General, as I've said it, from the end of 1999 until January 2003, Professor Mokgoro served as the Director General of the South African Management Development Institute. And Professor Mokgoro's profile will be made available on our online platform for ease of reference. Now here we have not just appointed somebody who comes from nowhere, an activist in her own right, the Deputy Chair in the then province of Northwest, and at some stage, of Northern Cape, at some stage he was a branch chairperson. Now let me come to other matters we dealt with. I think we dealt with the province of Limpopo in terms of the readiness for conference this coming weekend. And the special NEC of the 18th of June received and welcomed a report on the preparation towards the Limpopo Provincial Conference, which is expected to take place from the 22nd of June 2018, and we are committed to assist the province to ensure successful provincial conferences. We have noted some intentions by others to take the conference to court, but I think we have engaged them, and I'm sure it is all system go. The special NEC noted the work being done by the Provincial Dispute Resolution Committee and NEC deployees to resolve complaints and disputes with affected structures and ANC members in Limpopo, and urged that these processes be concluded and decisions communicated to structures before the provincial conference sits. In the conference in KwaZulu-Natal, the special NEC noted that the challenges in the province can be resolved in line with the mandate of the 54th National Conference of Unity and Renewal. And the Special NEC directed the National Dispute Resolution to continue to work with the PTT to address the issues raised by members who interdicted the provincial conference. And in this regard, it will actually be possible to render the legal contestation redundant. And the fundamental objective is to unite the organization in pursuit of the core objective of the ANC, which is to build a better life for all, especially the poor. And the Special NEC agreed that the PTT, working together with national officials and NEC employees, will ensure that KZN Provincial Conference, when it sits before the end of July, focuses on substantive issues of social transformation, organizational renewal, and a decisive victory in the ANC in the elections. And the Special NEC especially noted the good work done by the PTT collective, NEC employees, and NDRC, and further encourage all our structures to continue on the path of unity and renewal. And on Gauteng, the Special NEC noted, welcome the report on preparations for the provincial and regional conferences expected to convene on or before the end of July 2018. And the Special NEC noted the work done by the Gauteng PEC, working together with NEC employees in attendance to disputes and complaints, and accordingly encourage all our structures to subject themselves to internal processes of the organization in seeking solutions to disputes. And the Gauteng regional conferences will then be held between the weekend of the 29th of June to the 1st of July, and the weekend of the 6th and 8th July. The Gauteng Provincial Conference is then expected to be held by the end of July 2018. And we have noted the good work done by Gauteng PEC in trying to resolve some of the complaints and dispute lodged. And we are encouraging our structures to follow those organizational processes of getting down to the branch, to the region, to the province, and I think that's the work we have noted. And on the use of the judiciary to fight internal ANC processes, the Special NEC affirmed its commitment to the measure for internal dispute resolution as set out in the ANC Constitution and resolutions adopted by the 54th National Conference at all levels. And it employed responsible leadership structures and collectives at all levels to abide by the letter and spirit of the ANC Constitution in how they oversee and run organizational processes, and give ANC members the space to be heard and raise their grievances and complaints. But it also urges members to utilize internal processes so that there isn't anyone who's not actually happy. And I think that is the end of our statement. I'm sure we have talked about the rest of other provinces, be it Free State, be it Eastern Cape, be it Western Cape. Western Cape will also soon go to regional conferences, and all other provinces. And Northwest is here today with us to usher the Premier-elect. Thank you.
No, thank you very much. I'm sure Secretary General, just to make sure that we also send a message that the Provincial Executive Committee of the Northwest will be behind giving the Premier-elect the necessary support to discharge their mandate of service delivery and stabilize the administration. It might be befitting to just ask the chair of the province to say a word or two in that regard.
Thank you very much, SG. And Comrade Pule, who is the member also of the National Executive Committee, the collective of our officials who are here. We have the provincial treasurer on the extreme left and the provincial deputy chairperson next to the provincial treasurer. Well, on behalf of the collective of the Provincial Executive Committee, you will remember that we spoke about the need to create the essence of the presence of absence. We are there now. And we want to confirm here today that as the PEC, we will be supporting unashamedly, without any ambiguousness. We will relentlessly support the new Premier, who is deployed by the African National Congress, Professor Mokgoro. We will, as the officials in the province, the PwC and the PC, be working with him. We will also be inviting him to be part of the structures of the organization in an ex officio capacity, so that we can make sure that we strengthen the links and the communication among ourselves. Comrade Prof has been part of the ANC establishment for many years, as the SG has indicated. In as far as administration is concerned, he's one of the excellent administrators in this country. We have been working with him for many, many years. As the former Premier, I also worked with him when we started the FIFA administration. So he did an excellent, excellent work, and he has at all times made sure that we do to our best to deliver the necessary services to our people. So we'll be working with him to build the province, make sure that there's reconciliation, healing and renewal of the province, deliver services to the people, as we have said. From here, we will be going to do the following things. The first thing that must happen is to make sure that the professor is sworn in as an ordinary member of the legislature. So that is going to happen. The speaker is dealing with that. The second thing which is going to happen is to ensure that we engage the structures today, the ANC alliance partners and leaks, to inform them formally. The third thing which is going to happen will be the caucus of the ANC sitting tomorrow, 8 o'clock in Mahikeng, so that we can agree on the process inside the House. The fourth thing which will then happen is to nominate and elect the Premier. It is only after that, ladies and gentlemen, that Professor Mokgoro, now as the Premier of the Northwest, will be speaking to the media and the public. So if we can give him that space until all those processes are done. So as soon as that is done tomorrow, the ANC in the province and the rest of the structures will also be formally now saying, as structures, this is the line of march going forward.
No, thank you very much. We are now going to open for questions. Sophie Matlazi. Okay. Yes.
Sophie Mkwena from the SABC. I just want to ask a question to the Secretary General, Ace Magashule. Ndate Magashule, you were in the Free State when there were similar challenges in terms of the leadership in government and in the party, in the province, just after 1994. It looks like now in the Northwest, there's going to be a similar situation where you have a Premier who is not the chairperson, and in a few months' time, the province Northwest is supposed to go to the provincial conference to elect a new chairperson. How are you going to ensure that there's synergy between the administration in the province and the ANC? And perhaps to you, Ndate Supramahuma Belu, are you going to remain a member of the legislature? And who is going to give way for the Prof to be sworn in as an MPL?
Thank you very much, Mahlatsi. Mahlatsi News 24. My other question was the one asked by Sophie about if you are remaining a member of the legislature, because reports that we're getting was that part of the compromise was that you would stay on. You were threatening to stay on in the legislature if it was not your preferred candidate becoming the chairperson.
Becoming the premier.
Becoming the premier, sorry, becoming the premier. And to the Secretary General, is the issue of calls for the disbandment of the PEC still a matter that is before the NEC or still going to be discussed, or has that been put aside? We understand that the IMC report implicates a lot of senior members of that PEC, including Ntate Mahumapelo, in terms of the collapse of governance in that province. Is the ANC going to be taking any action with regards to that? And my last question relates to the Free State. If you could take us into your confidence about the decision to let the PEC stand, given all of that, what happened with the elective conference, that the NWC had not approved for that conference to actually go ahead, people that were not seen to be in your faction were not allowed to attend, but the NEC still said that the PEC must stand and it must work together with the disgruntled members. What exactly does that mean? Because the PEC is made up of people that are elected. If those people that were disgruntled were not elected, how do they work together with them in that PEC? Thank you.
Amos.
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 Amos Power from SABC Radio News. My question relates to the status of the Limpopo Provincial Conference. We understand that there is an intention to interdict that particular conference that is supposed to be taking place tomorrow. Can you just indicate to us as to whether you have received any correspondence from any disgruntled group in Limpopo threatening legal action? Thank you.
Okay, there's a Keida there behind you.
My name is Malungelo Boy from ANC. My question has been asked on the two centers of power, but I'm just interested to know, the Constitutional Court just ruled that confirming that voters have a right to be informed on political party funding. I just wanted to get a reaction from the SG. Thank you.
What specific direction do you want from the SG? That the ruling was done, or what do you want? So you want the SG to confirm? Oh, Wamutusha. Okay, no, that's fine. Secretary General. Yes. Okay.
With all due respect to the Donkoro, a lot of reaction to his appointment as premier is that he is 70 and he is really old. And the question that has been put forward is that, is this the ANC basically also running out of ideas in terms of finding younger people to take on a province that has so many problems as the Northwest? I'm asking this because that is the conversation that is happening on social media.
Okay. Citizen.
I'm Eric. Seeing that my question has been asked about Limpopo, I just want to know, how are you engaging those people that want to interdict the Limpopo conference? Secondly, Professor Mokoro, where has he been all these years? Because it has been quiet about him for a long time.
You are saying where has... Okay. Hey, your questions are interesting. You're saying he's old, you are asking where has he been. Okay, Secretary General, over to you.
I'm sure you will see the curriculum vitae of Comrade Professor Job Mokoro, and you'll really understand that indeed he has been an administrator and is an activist. Leaders are not just people who are not, leaders are not just people elected in positions of power. Leadership is broad, and he's here. Indeed, he's 70 years old. But you can see he has the energy to go and stabilize the situation there. And you needed somebody who could be welcomed by everybody. And I think in our wisdom, and that's why the NWC decision is unanimous, because you want somebody who can actually engage everybody and ensure that there is unity and renewal during this period. On the Constitutional Court ruling, what can I say? Because that is the highest court in the land in South Africa, so we will respect and abide by the decision of the Constitutional Court, because there is no any other way to go. The buck stops there, and I'm sure we welcome the ruling of the Constitutional Court. And on Limpopo Provincial Conference, like KZN, Free State, Gauteng, all regions, all the necessary disputes are resolved through the branch, the region, the province, and when people are not happy, they have approached the National Disciplinary Resolution Committee. And we have integrated in our constitution the National Dispute Resolution Committee, so that people must exhaust all issues internally. And that's what we have done, because that was once a court ruling that people must be given a chance to exhaust disputes internally. And the National Dispute Resolution Committee is dealing with all those matters which have been raised by members. And they have successfully done so in Herigwala, in Lower South Coast. There are no more issues. In Limpopo, yes, there were some people who were intended to interdict in the conference, and they have been engaged, and whatever the team of Comrade Toko Didiza and the province and some NEC members are there to deal with whatever challenges. But Limpopo is ready starting tomorrow. It's ready for the conference. Well, Free State, the NEC took a decision to appreciate the challenges and further instructed the leadership elected at conference, because that was a court order. The court order initially, if you remember, there was a court order which says 29 branches. They went to the second conference, which said they rerun the 14 branches. The 14 branches did go to the national conference. And those 14 branches were rerun several times. And there were some people who are still not happy, but I think the NEC recognized that conference and instructed the ANC province to further work to build unity and renew the organization and ensure that everybody, every member on the ground is given a hearing. And we are positive. It's not about any other individual, it's about the organization. And we are positive that the organization there will ensure that it works with everybody. And we are appealing to all the comrades to respect the highest decision-making body in between the conference, the National Executive Committee. The PEC of Northwest gave us 3 names, and we said they must go back to the province, they must engage the alliance, but ultimately the ANC must come back and give us 3 names. So we discussed many names, including the names which were given to us. Other names were not part of the 3 submitted by Northwest PEC, and we discussed them thoroughly. Even the names submitted by the alliance, we actually engaged, but ultimately we arrived at a decision which we hope everybody will respect and ensure that the alliance, SACP, COSATU, ANC, Youth League, Women's League, support the Premier-elect. And once the Premier-elect is nominated, I think he will have time to engage all those alliance structures, and we hope that the alliance structures will support him and he will work with the alliance structures to bring stability and unity in that province. The PEC of Northwest is still intact. The NEC has the right to engage on any other matter relating to provinces, but I'm sure for now the PEC of Northwest is an elected structure, and therefore it is still there. We will share. We have experiences. There are no 2 centers of power. In the past, people have argued about the 2 centers of power. In power is the ANC, it's not the individual. It's not the premier, the individual. It's not the chairperson, the individual. It is the ANC. It depends on the majority of comrades as to how they can actually work together. If the premier can work with the chair can work with the premier. And disagree and agree where they have to agree so that it's not just a unity which is not a real unity. And I'm sure it has happened here in Gauteng. Comrade Paul was not there as the chair, but the relationship between the chair and the premier has always been wonderful. As I said, it depends on the maturity of comrades. And there was nothing at any other time. And our experience is that if the premier is not elected, you integrate him into the structure, the PEC officials, the PWC, when there are alliance meetings, becomes part of those meetings. We really hope and wish that Northwest can understand and hear that the ANC need all of them more than at any other time. I'm sure those were the questions.
No, the other one was on the vacancy. Who's going to resign to make a vacancy?
There will be a person resigning, whether it will be Supra. We are discussing, but we were saying there is nothing wrong if Comrade Supra resign and focus on the work of the ANC. So the caucus and the ANC will be meeting there, but tomorrow there must be that vacancy for the premier to come in.
There was a question.
No, this is our media conference.
This is our media conference.
It's not a
also.
provincial conference.
Yes, it's ours. We direct what happens here, comrades. It's us here.
Okay.
The last round.
Now, it looks like you are happy today.
Okay, I'll take that. Round.
Okay. Do you want another round?
Yeah, I'll get the round.
Okay, yeah. No, just to reinforce what the SG has said, this is our briefing. We direct what goes on here. Okay, Sophie. Just so that you are aware, going forward, all questions are going to be answered by the Secretary General. Yes. So it's only Sophie who has got a question. Lentate and Mail and Guardian. Are you covered? Okay, Sophie.
My question is around the ANC structures in general, starting from the branch, the regions, the province, and national. After the Nazareth conference, a decision was to unite the party in general in all structures. But as you have pointed out, Ntate Magashule, there are these concerns in different structures. And when you're sitting from outside, watching the news, listening and seeing the visuals, the protests, the court cases, it looks like the center doesn't hold. What are you doing as the current leadership, the NEC, to ensure that all these issues are dealt with and the division is a thing of the past? How are you going to ensure that this comes to an end? Because you are left with very few months to the elections, and you need everyone on board to rally behind whoever will make it into the ANC's candidate lists in provinces and also the national list. But it looks like the party is divided.
Khonze Mojahi, News Agency. Perhaps I want to find clarity on the matter where Boone Debele report says the PEC of the Eastern Cape must be dissolved. The matter was taken to court on the very same day that you held a meeting in Irene on Monday. The court has thrown back the matter to the ANC. How is the ANC going to deal with this matter? And the second question is, why was a provincial political matter in the Eastern Cape resolved in Gauteng? Thank you.
No, I think I want to say, why was it taken to a court in Gauteng when Okay, because it could be the jurisdiction of the report, perhaps, but the SG will deal with that. Okay, SG.
No, this is the season of conferences, and the ANC is a vibrant, dynamic, democratic organization. And this is not the first time that conferences have been so highly contested. That's the ANC. And I'm sure the ANC will stabilize immediately after conferences. And that's why we want to deal with conferences between now and July, so that we refocus our structures on election work. But our structures are there. The election work is continuing, and we are very happy and satisfied with our work all over the country. The season of conferences will pass, but it's a normal process, very dynamic and vibrant and democratic. That's what the ANC is all about. But the ANC is also a very patient organization and educating its members from time to time. And that's why we have identified political education as very, very key. We haven't abandoned the political education for many years. And I'm sure we are going back to inculcating more political education in our structures. And that's what we are going to do, and that's why we have full-time heads of political education. As I've said, Comrade David Masondo will be starting the end of this month, full-time as one of the head and of the political education, reinforcing us here at head office. So NASREC has demanded that all of us must unite, and I'm sure we will listen to that call. We have no choice, and we are appealing to our structures to understand. And there will be a roadshow by the SGO, there will be a roadshow by election team. In fact, they've completed the roadshow election team except Gauteng and KZN because of conferences. But the rest of the country, the election work is continuing very well, even here in Gauteng and KZN. But the SGO will be taking a roadshow, and we will be meeting all the regional structures, regional executive secretaries and deputy secretaries, provincial, of the leagues, everybody next week, to say this is how the ANC operates, so that we remind ourselves that ours is to unite and renew the African National Congress. Well, you remember that then NEC was confronted with this issue of the Eastern Cape Conference. And in its wisdom, the then NEC appointed a commission led by Comrades Bundebele to deal with the issues of Eastern Cape. And then by that time, we were already taken to court, and I'm sure the matter was already in court, but we will be going to the Eastern Cape as officials to ensure that there is peace, unity, and renewal of the organization there. The PEC of the Eastern Cape is working together with the Premier, and I'm sure the situation will stabilize. As to why the court was here, I don't know. I'm sure maybe the head office of the ANC is here. I don't know. I think the lawyers will know better in terms of the jurisdiction and all that. Yeah, but we are dealing with that situation. We have noted that report, and I'm sure we are saying to the Eastern Cape, let's all work. And we are appealing to comrades who take the ANC to court to understand that it's not about themselves, it's about the party. And we are once more calling upon everybody throughout South Africa in our structures to exhaust internal the processes of the ANC and deal with the matters the ANC way. Okay? Comrade Pule, I'm sure I've covered everything now.
Okay, this should now bring us to the end of this briefing. And I'm sure all of you in the media, like you have always done, even when we appointed announced the appointment of the Premier-elect for the Northwest and the Free State, that in the next few months you will also give Professor Mohoro the necessary support so that the positive story of the Northwest is told to the people of this country. Thank you very much.
All right, that was an ANC media briefing, just informing the public that indeed a Northwest Premier-elect has been elected, and that's one Professor Job Mohoro. He is going to be taking over in the interim. We're going to go for a short break.